Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so it's a lot of stuff going on in the NBA that I think is interesting in these playoffs, man. And although my team is out of it, I'm still paying attention. I'm still very much paying attention. And to be honest with you, it's shocking what's going on in this NBA atmosphere right now. Very shocking. Talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers down 0-2 to the Indiana Pacers. The Boston Celtics blowing two 20-point leads back to back, missing more threes than literally anybody else. You got Ant-Man missing more threes than anybody ever in the first game of this series. I mean, Minnesota was just really messed up. How they were playing was just bad. And then from there, Steph Curry goes down. So even though Minnesota loses the game, the Warriors may have lost the war because Steph is going to be missing a week. You look at the Denver Nuggets winning the first game, which was a shocker, losing the second game by like 50 points, which is even more shocking in some ways. I'm just like, yo, what is happening in the second round, y'all? Are y'all paying attention to this? And look, y'all, if you've been following me recently, I've been telling y'all I avoid the Boston Celtics like the plague. I do not watch Celtics basketball. If I can at all help it, I'm staying away. But to be honest with you, these two games have been something to watch. I missed those, and I'm not very happy about it. I did watch the highlights of game two, and I listened to all the commentary possible. But I think that might be the most intriguing series in the playoffs right now. Because at the end of the day, we talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Their situation is they're just missing people. Injuries are telling a story, and that can happen to anybody. Boston ain't missing nobody. I mean, KP, from what I understand, is not playing healthy. He might be dealing with some type of sickness, but he's out there. And they've had 20-point leads in both of these games at home. Cleveland's games at home. Like, this is nuts, man. This is nuts. My predictions aren't looking good right now for really any of these series, to be honest with you, none of them. And I'm not unhappy about it because most of the teams that are doing well are teams I would prefer to win the series. Cleveland, I don't really hate Cleveland. I really don't. I mean, I used to back in the day, but like, they're pretty damn neutral at this point. I actually am pretty intrigued with what they have. And I do think that this series would be totally different if they would have literally had Mobley and Hunter and Darius Garland. Those are massive pieces to not have out there. It changes the dynamic of their team completely. I think that, Donovan Mitchell deserved to win game two. The way that he played with 48 points, and 9 assists or something crazy like that. He's unbelievable. But at the end of the day, they made some bad decisions in game two. They made some really bad decisions. And that's what it really came down to. For as good as Cleveland's coach has been this year, he really showed some flaws in this second round. Start these first two games against these Pacers. And with the series shifting back to Cleveland, I don't know how much healthier they are. I didn't check. But if they're going to continue to have the health issues that they're having, if they don't get Mobley back and Garland back specifically, I think this series could end, man. I think Cleveland could end up going home in the second round to the Pacers. And when it comes to the Celtics, this is what I want to say. The Celtics had 20-point leads in both of those games. They blew both of them, which is a stat in and of itself, but they had them first. So there's a lot of different ways this can go. We've seen LeBron come back from 0-2 deficits like this. I don't know if he had those games at home or on the road. I don't know. But I've seen him come back from 3-1. We've seen this type of stuff. But to lose them both at home, it's tough as it gets when you're the Celtics. Going up against the next team with a closer like Jalen Brunson. This is really tough. And Mikal Bridges playing with so much confidence, sealing the game with the block down the stretch. Jason Tatum's shot being completely cold. The others on the Celtics shot being cold. And mind you, they did this at home. Now, from what I understand, the Celtics are a better team on the road than they are at home in these playoffs. But I don't know what to think of that when considering the New York Knicks. Although they have been a worse home team than they've been on the road themselves. Maybe that balances it out, and if the Celtics win the next two games, I think a lot of people can see that happening. The problem that I have with the Celtics is the same problem I have with Cleveland right now. They're not closing these games better than the other team. That's what there is for me to see. They're not closing. These games are close at the end, and they're not winning them. So what the Celtics are going to have to do is get a blowout going somehow. They're going to have to reestablish dominance just like OKC did. You lose that first game, that second game, you come back, you're going nuts. You ain't letting nobody get anything off. OKC should have got 2 wins for that dominant performance they had in Game 2. They should be up 2-1 for that one win. But at the end of the day, that's not how that works. But that's the type of psychological dominance you want to establish if you're the Celtics going into New York. You probably need to win that game by a lot. If it's a close game and you ease it out, I don't think you put any doubt in New York's mind at all. And if you're the Knicks, Game 3 needs to be approached like Game 7. It needs to, because if you can get a 3-0 lead in this series, no one's ever come back from that. But if you allow them to get a 2-1, you almost expect the Knicks to lose the series any damn way, just off the strength of who Celtics have been. But the thing about the Celtics is, if it's in their head that they're missing shots, and they are missing shots at a historic rate, and their coach refuses to change his game plan, you're going to live and die with the 3? This is when you look at Coach Mazzulla, if you're the Celtics fans, and you say, now it's time to throw some easy bucket opportunities into the fold. Instead of shooting 80% from behind the arc, maybe we shoot 73% from behind the arc. Just get some easy buckets, man, because you're only losing these games by 1 and 2 points. Even with you shooting so poorly, you end up having 20-point leads. At some point in time, you have to understand that it's time to abandon the game plan. You can always return to it, but you got to abandon it when you're bleeding out. You don't just sit there and bleed out. You put a tourniquet on it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what we're going to learn about Mazzulla. I think he's going to live and die with the 3. Maybe the Boston Celtics start shooting better. They are a good shooting team, to say the least. They've won a championship doing this, which could be fool's gold considering who they played against last year and how hurt all those damn teams were. I wouldn't tell myself I know what the hell I'm doing, quote unquote, if I'm Mazzulla. Because anybody in their right mind would have beat all those teams you beat last year, brother. So, telling yourself to lean on what's not working because you've won a championship is one of the stupidest things he can do. Because you didn't win a championship. You played depleted teams throughout the entire playoffs. Damn Sacramento Kings would have won the championship with that path. You understand what I'm saying? Anybody would have. With that being said, that's not the path he's on. The New York Knicks are a real team. But the New York Knicks have to understand something. You've been giving up 20-point leads in both of your wins. You are not dominating this team. You're barely beating them, and you have to come back big in order to do it. Your confidence shouldn't be as high as some of these pundits running around saying this series is over. People like Kendrick Perkins. Nah, bro. Saying the series is over? It could be. I'm not sitting up here saying there's no merit to what he's saying. The Celtics is down 0-2. But the truth of the matter is they've also had big leads in both of the games. Both of the games. And so what they're doing isn't just completely not working, or that they're playing so terrible is not giving them the worst of results. They're still in these games down the stretch with the possession to determine it. So if the Celtics just play a little better, they're probably going to win the games that they're in. Which tells me the Knicks got to play better. The Knicks got to play better. That's the God's honest truth. Yes, you've won both of those games, but why are you down by 20 at any point against a team that's shooting this poorly? You feel what I'm saying? Like that, if I'm the Knicks, I'm still on guard. If I'm the Knicks, I feel like I'm down 0-2. You know what I'm saying? And if I approach it like that and demand that I tie myself in this series, guess what? That wins the series because you only need 2 wins. So it's all about the approach of both teams. Do the Celtics feel like they're out of it mentally? Because you had 20-point leads in both of those games. Do the Knicks feel like they're dominating the Celtics? Because you were down by 20 in both of those games. It could be the battle of fool's gold on both ends, to be honest with you. But I'll say this. Once the ball gets tipped up in Madison Square Garden, the Celtics need to win the game. Because if they lose that game, ain't nobody come back from the 0-3 deficit. Not happening. So that's what I will say about that series. Regardless of whatever the mentality is, the Celtics better make sure they have more points than the Knicks. Or their ass is grass. Pun intended. So, that's really what I have to say, man. I hope it happens, to be honest with you. I hate the Celtics with all my heart and soul. But I'm mighty intrigued by everybody who's writing them off. I am intrigued by that. So, that's one thought. Another thought is... I need to see how the Nuggets are going to bounce back at home when the altitude is in their favor. They played their 2 games. They got their split. The second game was a wash. You had everybody who played well in game one, played bad in game two. Even Jokic, I think, scored under 20 points in that game or something like that. Nobody looked like themselves against OKC in that game. OKC couldn't miss a shot, and as a result, you saw them win the game by like 40-plus points. Now the series is shifting back to Denver. Does Denver think they have no shot at OKC? Because you just beat them. It's not like you didn't literally get the first victory in the series. It's a split. That's what you came down there to do. Question is OKC going to continue to shoot as well as they did? Is your defense in transition going to continue to be as bad as it was? Because I looked at them numbers. It was terrible. Turnovers and transition giveaways were really the problem for the Denver Nuggets. If that continues, which is by way of who they're going against, probably will. OKC has done this all year to everybody. They're probably going to have trouble in Game 3 too. I don't know if it's going to be as bad as 40 points, but they can't keep hemorrhaging transition buckets off turnovers. And so that's one thing that I do understand about that series right there. That has to stop for the Denver Nuggets to have a shot. And OKC seems to be the truth, man, but they did drop that first game. And that showed a little chink in their armor. Now, I will say that. It took a buzzer shot to do it. I don't know if that means anything. But we have seen teams have big blowouts and still come back and win series, man. We've seen it. It's not... I don't know, it's been done too often, but there have been certain series. One of the great Celtics-Lakers series, if I'm not mistaken, the Lakers had lost a game by like 35 and then came back and sealed the deal with the next game. So it's done. And in that same series, the Lakers won a game by 35 or like game 2 or something like that. So these type of things, this doesn't often determine the outcome of the series just because somebody got blown out. That's what I want to say. It's not always a determining factor. Sometimes teams just have really bad games, and I think that's what it was for the Denver Nuggets. But their weaknesses were what were the problem. Things that are going to continue to be a problem are what hurt the Denver Nuggets in Game 2. Being a bad defensive team. Christian Brown not being that great of a shooter. These type of things like that can continue. So I feel like the Thunder are going to win the series. I said Thunder in 7. I'm not going to change my pick in this regard. But Denver's going to have to bounce back strong at home with altitude in their favor. Play better defense, even though they're not a good defensive team. They got to be better than they were in Game 2. And you expect the regression to come back around in regards to OKC shooting, because they're not going to shoot as well as they did in Game 2 in most nights. They're not. So I still think that series can go the distance, but I think Game 3 is very pivotal. If OKC come back out and beat them by 30 or 40 points, yeah, that series probably ain't going to go Denver way. It's just not. And what is the other series? Minnesota series. I am not at all surprised to see Minnesota shoot as poorly as they did, because that's exactly what they showed me in Game 5 of the Lakers series. They won the game because the Lakers were pathetic. But as I told you guys, they couldn't beat anybody in these playoffs shooting like that. And they came into Golden State, or into their own building against Golden State, and shot like that. Ant-Man going like 0 for 8. He was 0 for 11 against the Lakers. Ant-Man needs to understand that you can help your team by getting boards. I think he had 14 boards in that game, getting steals. But he's going to have to get himself easy buckets, man. And I saw him missing layups in that game. He just couldn't get nothing to fall. But this is now 2 games in a row with a whole week of rest in between. That's not okay, little brother. Like, Ant-Man going to have to understand, if he wants to be up there with the people with the best names in this league, his game got to translate to the postseason, bro. You can't live off lore. That's what I would tell him. You ain't going to be able to live off lore. You're going to have to show up. And I do believe that just like Jason Tatum, I feel the same way about Jason Tatum. When they get in their passing bag, they really help themselves. Jason Tatum, for me, he lives and dies by his jump shot. Anthony Edwards the same exact way. But their teams usually win. Their role players usually give them more when those guys are looking to be playmakers. Turn into a playmaker, Ant-Man. When you killed the Lakers, you were getting 6 or more assists. The shot don't have to fall. Some of those possessions just needs to be kickouts to other people or plays that ultimately get them easy buckets. Be a playmaker, brother. Everybody want to force you into being a playmaker, but when you're a playmaker and it works out, the team wins. Which is it's always backwards to me. I legitimately think you turn these players into shooters. Ant-Man, if he goes for 70 points, I'm happy with that. If he don't get no damn assists, I think I can still win. Because now he's overshooting. Other people are cold. Nobody's getting involved. Role players lose interest when they're not getting involved, even if the guy is hot. They need to feel involved. They need to feel like he believes in them. So if he's looking for his own damn shot, they're never getting going. And if they're never getting going, they're probably going to slouch on the defensive end. It translates to that. And a lot of times, these guys, these pure scorers, their defense is trying to force them into being passers any damn way. Embrace it fully. If I'm Anthony Edwards, I'm not getting anything less than 10 assists in the next game. I walk away with 16 points. If I walk away with 11 assists, I know we won. I know we did. Because I got Nas going. I got Nah going. I got Julius going. I got some looks for Conley. McDaniels going. I'm going to win. I'm going to win because when they get them shots going, and when they start seeing the ball fall, they start playing better. They start diving for loose balls a little more. They start playing a little harder on the defensive end. It's the other guys that need to feel like you believe in them in order to get the best out of them. If you don't get nothing out of it, if you try to do it by yourself, you're not going to score enough in today's league. You're just not. And so if I'm going up against Anthony Edwards, I'm trying to make sure he never pass. All this idea about crowding him out, trying to keep him from scoring, he ain't never going to beat me scoring. Never. I'm going to let him score all day. He can jack up 55 shots if he wants. I'm going to win the game. Guaranteed. I'm shutting everybody else down. I'll let him go. 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 You're a great scorer. Score. I don't ever want to see you get no passes off. And so, and this is what the evidence has showed us. This is exactly how you beat these people. It's exactly what the evidence shows us. People think because they're so great at scoring that you need to stop them from scoring. Hell no. Let them go. Let them score. Just make sure he don't get a single guy going. No one. No one else. And so that's what I got to say. I think the Golden State Warriors should probably adapt to that idea. And look, I'm of the mindset that Jason Timpf is in as well. He thinks the Golden State Warriors can still win without Steph Curry. I definitely think the Golden State Warriors can still win in this series without Steph Curry. Why? Because it's a rock throwing contest and all their rock throwers are still out there. Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, Gary Payton II, Kevon Looney. These are dudes that I want in a rock throwing contest. When the shots ain't pretty and you got them down there setting screens and boxing out and pushing people around, getting fragrant fouls, bleeding out there, making other people bleed. These are the type of people I want on the floor. Podziemski can be a part of that. Although I think he can play both ways because he's a nice shooter. But when it comes down to it, I trust him to rebound the ball a lot. Like the Golden State Warriors, with their personnel, are wired to be a part of ugly basketball games just like Minnesota is. And probably even more so in some ways. So with what they have left, I like them to be able to battle strong in the ugly nature of the style of play of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Specifically, like what Golden State has left without Steph Curry is exactly the type of stuff that I'm trying to put together if I want to beat a Timberwolves team in the way they play. And so that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying to you guys. Golden State is still probably going to be in position to win games in this series without Steph Curry. Because Jimmy is still going to elevate his game like crazy. Draymond's still going to be pushing people around, making life hard on folks. Gary's still going to get out there and defend like a madman. And what you're finding is Buddy Yield's in a really, really high groove right now. At the perfect time when you consider how much of a struggle he's had in a lot of situations. For him to be able to be hot during the playoffs, it couldn't be a better thing for his career. And I don't think it, forgive me if I'm being disrespectful, but I don't think it has anything to do with the playoffs. I just think he's in a groove. Some people peak at different times. He just happens to be peaking in the second round of the playoffs, in the end of the first round of the playoffs. So Buddy could probably continue to hit shots like this. Now, eventually Buddy's going to go cold. That's going to happen, and Coach Curry is going to have to understand that Buddy is streaking. The streak's in, and you're going to have times where he's going to go 1 for 7, not going to score at all. Like, we've seen this a million times with Buddy. We know who he is. But he does have these weeks at a time, at times, where he just goes off like this, which is why he has the name he has. So you just happen to be on that wave. You got to ride the hot hand until it goes cold, and then when it goes cold, you don't blink because you know that's what to expect. But I don't know, man. I just feel like Jimmy Butler has been leading teams like this to overachieve in situations like this the whole time. But y'all think he's chopped liver? He's still Jimmy. They may not have Steph, but they got Jimmy. This is the Heat all over again. So I still think Minnesota will win the series. I picked them to win the series initially. But as far as Golden State getting their pound of flesh out of Minnesota without Steph Curry, yeah, I definitely think that. I definitely think that. Especially if Minnesota going to continue to shoot like this and play like this. Hell yeah, they're going to beat them. So, like I said about the other series, Minnesota has to establish some dominance in Game 2. They are the healthier team. Ant-Man's got to get his stuff going, because if he keeps shooting like he did over these last 2 games, in Game 2, he's going to lose that Game 2. He's going to lose that Game 2. And this series is going to look a lot like the Eastern Conference series, with the team at home going down 0-2 with the home court advantage. And you, unlike the Celtics and the Cavaliers, are not going up against a team that ain't done it. You know, the Knicks ain't never done it. The Pacers ain't never done it. You're going to have a lot of confidence that you can get back in those series because you've had the better team all year if you're them other 2 teams. Ant-Man ain't in that position. Ant-Man need to understand that you going up against the Golden State Warriors. They've been to 6 NBA Finals. They got 4 NBA championships as a core. You know what I mean? They know one another very well. You need to get your act together. You need to find a way to contribute to the assist category, get other people involved, and you got to start driving at the rim, man. Stop all this damn shooting. Living and dying with the 3 is not a choice that needs to be made. You don't have to die with the 3. You can drive at the rim 100 times, just like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum can. Their coach over there chooses not to by system. But they could take on a coach that has them driving at the rim. They still got the assets for that. They got the players that can play that style. They just need to opt into it, and they'll probably be all right. Ant-Man's the same way. You ain't got no sharpshooters on your team like that. Nobody on that team is that great of a shooter for y'all to be shooting that many threes. That's the problem. And because Ant-Man's been shooting all these threes all year long, I don't think he thinks there's nothing wrong with it. But I'm telling you, the results are going to show you you're going to lose if you keep shooting like this. You can jump over everybody. You got one of the most powerful dunks, 2 of the most powerful dunks the world has ever seen. There ain't no excuse for you not to be driving repeatedly into the teeth of a team that only has Draymond Green as their rim protection. Ain't nobody else really rim protecting out there. You can dunk on every single soul in the NBA, I believe. Ain't no Shaq out there. You can dunk on everybody. There's no reason for you to be launching 11 threes and missing all of them. Ant-Man needs to dunk the damn ball. So that's pretty much where I'm at. And feed McDaniels. He looks so solid shooting the ball in the first game. What he shoot, 50%? Y'all need to feed him. McDaniels needs to be fed, man. He's hitting shots. He's a scorer now. He's developed into that. Yeah, he plays good defense, but he's a 2-way guy. At this point, his offense needs to be featured more by their coaching staff. And as I've said many times, even though it's not necessarily popular, I do think Terrence Shannon needs to be on the floor. I do think he's a little too good of a weapon on both sides of the floor and runs a little too hard to not be utilized just because he's a rookie, especially since he's an older rookie anyway. This guy will help you on both sides of the floor. So I would have already had him as a regular rotation piece, to be honest with you. I think he's better than some of these people they're using out there in Minnesota. But you can't tell a coach that who don't believe in young players. But I do believe his attributes, forget his age, forget his experience, his attributes, what he does can really be a nightmare for just about anybody he goes up against. So that's why I wouldn't hesitate to play Terrence Shannon. I just think he's a hell of a weapon. So that's really what I had to say, man. I wanted to give y'all a little bit. Like I said, that Cleveland series has an asterisk next to it. They're just missing people, man. They get all their people back, and they're gonna blow past the Pacers, in my opinion. I really don't think they have too much trouble with the Pacers if they're healthy. But I respect what the Pacers are doing. The Pacers are playing strong, but they're benefiting a little bit from some injury issues. And as I said about the Celtics last year, anybody can beat teams that are depleted. So that's pretty much where I'm at, man. I do not think Tyrese Halliburton is overrated. I never believed that. I never believed that, and I don't believe it now. I think he's really good. I think he's extremely good. So, yeah, that he's leading his team and they're doing great and all that, I'm not too surprised by that. But like I said, injuries tell the story there. So that's pretty much what I want to say, man. I wanted to give y'all that. And I know tonight Minnesota plays game 2, Golden State, so we'll see how that goes. But don't be surprised if Golden State wins that game, because it's a rock throwing contest and they got rock throwing players. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.